So, are we allowed to think aloud here?
Yes, yes, you're allowed to think as aloud as you can.
Religion's the only thing, at least in Western narratives, that really tells you not to be selfish, not to be individualistic. Because even when I see what my friends post about on social media, it's all about all this like uh, me against the world kind of talk where nobody's gonna help you, your friends ain't your friends, all this kind of like negative talk on how it goes down. And I'm like, dude, you should love each other. You should, really want to be close with everyone because even
It's the only
though,
way you get up.
yeah, it goes to that William Wesley guy that you sent me an
Yeah,
article about. But when I was reading this GQ article, I was shocked because I'm a huge NBA fan and I've never even
yeah,
heard of this guy. I've heard Worldwide West in a couple rap songs, but I thought that was just like the
that's
company's
right.
name that they're talking about. But
Right.
this is
Yeah.
a real
Yeah.
guy.
I first got on him. Yeah, I first got on him from that Drake song. I learned the game from William Wesley. You could never check me.
Huh.
Back to back. It was a freestyle, and yeah, then I started listening to him or reading about him. It's like, who's William Wesley? And yeah, I mean, why don't you tell the story?
I think you're more interested in this guy than I could ever be. But
Well,
the thing about
it
this
was
guy
a while
is
ago. So yeah,
even his own friends don't even know what he does. Like when they asked his friends, what does he actually do? They were like, I have no idea what this guy actually does. All he does is literally become friends and take care of people in the NBA, take care of LeBron James, take care of Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, all these big star names. And from and
it started off like that. So yeah, I mean, so basically, like how it started is that this guy is in Jersey, and he's not like a great athlete himself, but his friends are and his cousins are. They play basketball. He works at Foot Locker. He's always been encouraging to them, etc. And then they come by, they need shoes. He hooks them up with his employee discount, right? And no one's gonna be like, oh no, why did you do this? Like, yeah, you're like, um, so he's just nice. He like follows them on, follows their games and stuff in newspapers and stuff. And he even like goes and if they're playing an away game, he'll go, right? He'll go and cheer them on and stuff like that. And this is the jump. This is part for me. Like I'm also like, what? So he's just constantly doing people favors. He's never asking anything in return, and like that's pretty much like the basis of it. So like he goes and he goes out of his way, and I mean out of his way, like he moves to another city to go and kind of help support these guys, do like run errands, whatever, be there, like assistance, asks for nothing. Okay. And later on, he's able to do bigger favors. Bigger, he gets smarter about it. Like, okay, like, well, these guys, they're all very big and tall. They can't find suits. Like, they can't do this. And he goes and he sources it for them and all this stuff. Maybe he gets paid like a little salary or something like this, but nothing that would make you to do this. But he also always does favors for people that can't do anything for him, right? Like the kid that's just making his way, and so what he does then is like all these people he had been doing favors for, instead of ever asking them for anything, a deal, let's do this, let's partner, etc., he just says, hey man, can you do me a favor and help this guy out? So he takes his goodwill and he just keeps on passing it forward. This is this network through William Wesley, where now LeBron James, this guy's been helping LeBron James since LeBron James was in high school or whatever, and now he could call LeBron James and say, "Hey, LeBron, can you do me a favor?" LeBron's like, "Yeah, man, anything." I was like, "What?" Like, "Oh, this kid, can you give him some advice? Could you help him out?" Like that's how he did it. That's
hmm,
incredible, right? He never went and short-sighted and said, "Hey, pay me, give me some money, let me be your agent, let me," like, no, they just kept on passing his favors owed to him to help somebody else. That's the amazing part, and that's why you can never check him too,
but as I was
because
reading the article,
yeah,
it kind of made me like, okay, where's the catch here? Where's the catch? Where's what he's gaining out of this?
well, I
There
mean,
must be
he's got, yeah,
something.
well, yeah, I mean, he's got so much um, he's helped so much people that they trust him. They believe in him. They really do feel like he has their best interest at heart. So literally when the NBA was on strike a couple of years ago, many years ago, they called William Wesley, you know, like now, he's a partner at CAA, which is, I guess, one of the largest talent agencies in the world, you know, sports agencies and all that kind of stuff. Like, hey, if you need to make something happen, who's the guy who can pick up a phone and actually make something happen is William Wesley, you know. And it's not like he's, using now his power to, do evil stuff or whatever. Like along the way, he knew that if he created value, like money will come, and it did. That's amazing. I don't know if he saw it that far in advance, but
That's the
that's what he is.
question.
That's the mystery of the man.
That's
Yeah.
really the question is was this a plan for him? Did he just really put into place like game theory in its most optimal form? Well, not even game theory, just
It's the reverse of game theory. It's like not the zero sum thing. It's like long term thinking, Like I really do believe that like the internet, though it's bumpy, man, it's gonna be a bumpy ride. There's a quote, Barack Obama said it, but he didn't create it, but it says that the arc of the arc of justice no, the arc of history is long, but it bends towards justice.
That's nice.
Bends towards justice. I'm not saying it's not going to be a bumpy road. And we got the internet, and what happens with the internet is some pretty amazing things, right? Like it creates transparency for everybody, and it democratizes that. What happens if you don't have transparency? Well, people with more power, with more resources, can pit other people against each other. They can take advantage of people who can't fight their way out of anything or do anything about it. A lot of injustice and a lot of terrible things can happen, right? I'll give you like an example that's not like so sad, I suppose, but it's real and it's really cool. And it kind of makes my example for how the internet, can actually help. So it's like, have you ever heard of Skiplagged?
No.
Okay. So Skiplagged is an app where it looks at all the flights, and it looks at flights that are direct as well as flights. Like let's say you want to go from Baltimore to Chicago, and that's what I want to do. Okay, so let's say it costs $400, but there's another trip that goes through Chicago. Actually, the destination is Minneapolis, right? But that ticket costs $200, right? And that doesn't make any sense, right? You're like, well, wow. So if I just didn't get on the next flight, then I could get to Chicago for $200 less.
Right.
And that's the way that airlines have been pricing for a long time, like discriminatorily, right? I always thought, everybody always thought that it had to do something with fuel consumption and seats and blah, 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 blah. It's like, no, they just spotted that, like, business travelers, they go this route quite often. So if somebody searches, Baltimore to Chicago, I'm going to charge that guy $400. But hey, if there's somebody else who wants to go to Minneapolis, maybe that's, a normal person, and it stops to Chicago, that'll be $200. So
Are you serious?
Oh yeah.
Because I thought transit.
Put it in your notes. Put it in your notes afterwards, or maybe you can put it on the screen or something. But no,
because I travel internationally quite a bit, and it's usually like you have to go to Saudi Arabia, you have to go to Paris, you have to go to London, and then you go to Egypt, and then you go to the country. And it's like, wait, why am I going way past my country and then going back towards the country? Is that the same thing?
For one. Yeah, that's for one. Yeah, for sure. That's the question. On international, it might be a bit trickier because then you have like, you're in another country, you're supposed to be in another country, and then, the airlines, they might cancel the rest of your ticket, So the airlines saw what this guy was doing. So he made an app. He was a college kid and made this app, and genius, right? I mean, genius. So basically be like, you take one-way flights because the airline, if you didn't make your leg, they would have canceled the rest of your flight, right? So you're like, you have to be like, okay, you're not taking take any carry-on luggage, right, or check-in luggage, right? And if that's the case, if you can do that, then Skiplagged is perfect for you, which is a lot of people. So airlines got pissed off. Airlines started trying to, mess with his little app. They sued him, actually. They sued him and they lost. He won. Why? Because it's transparency. It's like they don't have the right to take away that transparency. They were doing something messed up. It affected the consumer. They were taking advantage of all of us because they didn't want us to see that they were pricing preferentially like that, right? It's like, I mean, that's the way it is. And so, like, the internet can be a force for good. It is. It often is. And you can't take it back. It doesn't matter if you are, the government of China, the government of Iran, or Saudi Arabia, or whoever, right? You can't stop the internet.
And that's
Can't
why
stop it.
when people are attacking the media the way they are now, like, it's both on the left and the right side. I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
that big of a fan of the media either, but
Mhm.
I trust them enough, or not completely. I mean, I take everything they say with a grain of salt, but I at least
Yeah.
trust them. This distrust of the media is very scary for our democracy because, like you
Yeah.
said, the media is what has made powerful institutions like the FBI, CIA, the government, and companies shaking their boots and not do the
Yeah.
fraudulent things that they used to,
Yeah.
like in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. So
Yeah.
this whole idea of don't trust the media's lying to you, it's like, no, that's not necessarily the truth at all.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a very, the thing of it is, it's a very easy trap to fall into, like the thinking of the fact that there's some, that it's all bad and whatever. And, this is technologically, like, if we think about what's happening, we're like, it's a couple of things. It's like, we have a problem with, like, signal versus noise. There's too much information. And so therefore it's like anything looks like anything. It's hard to judge the quality of the veracity of some information versus other information. So you have a lot of people who are believing fake news, right? That's for one. That's a problem for all of us. It's like there's so much stuff out there. How can I actually just find the stuff that's true, the stuff that's relevant to me, through all this garbage where anybody can just make up anything and put it onto a web page, right? And we're gonna have to solve that. Nobody has. But then the other flip side of that, I think one of our topics was like social graph, social network, social dilemma, right? You said.
Social dilemma, yeah.
I didn't know. I think were you talking about that movie? I guess.
That new thing that came out on
I did.
Netflix, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't watch it, but I got it.
Because
Because I guess I've been there, right? On both sides. But like, if you look back to like Cambridge Analytica, like what actually happened was like, well, they had a like a reference data set that was only supposed to be available for researchers, and they essentially just joint like swiped it, used it for very, very clever ads where they kept on like honing in on specific people and their fears. And once they found these people, so they like throw something out there, and then as soon as somebody gets some interest on one thing, what Facebook's like algorithm does, this is the thing they call the edge rank, right? And I am not a huge fan of this company, right? So as soon as you bring some attention to something, and a topic, a news article, whatever, it has a leaning, Facebook recognizes that and wants to give you more of what you want. So it just keeps on honing in and honing in, honing in and honing in. And soon that person's worldview, if they're only on Facebook, right, is so narrow. And therefore, like thinking back to like transparency, like they're it's taken over the reality, It's and that's why we're like in this place right now in this country and the world where there's so much, you know, polarity and like fragmentation. We're at each other's throats because literally like our realities are different because of this.